if you're a woman and you're an entrepreneur, you're going to face some very unique things in your career. So in today's video, we're going to talk all about what you should expect and how to handle some of the stickier situations that I've run into as a female entrepreneur who is earning more income than most men. So this video is probably going to piss them off, and I'm sure I'm going to get some comments from them. But for the ladies or the people who identify as ladies out there, we're going to have a lot of fun. Hello and welcome. I'm Christina Scalera, and I am an entrepreneur who has been building businesses for over 7 years now. I just sold my first successful company last year, and I have now this YouTube channel and the coaching business that comes with it, where I teach you how to create a D-commerce empire. D as in digital commerce, that is digital products sold through an online storefront, and passive income opportunities through investing through your business. So we cover all that and more on this channel if that's something that interests you. So one of my unintentional mantras over the past year has been, what would a man do? Because in getting my business ready for sale and just some of the things that I had to do surrounding the real estate transactions that I've had to really ask myself this question when I found I was second guessing myself or doubting the decisions that I had in mind. And I just had to ask, what would a man do? Because I found that a lot of the decision making fatigue that I was running up against was because I was worried about the way that it would be perceived. And in fact, that has happened a few times where I think I got unfairly treated because I was a woman. So for example, I bought this second house in Colorado, and everything on it has been really wonderful except for one thing went wrong with the electric. And I hired an electrician. It was kind of like as an emergency basis as an electrician can be. And the builder, he came back to me, and when I defended why we were making these electric repairs, namely that nothing was working and it was sparking all these other things that were happening. It's all resolved now, but he was very critical about the repairs that I had made on the house that he was to reimburse me for. And when I started defending that position and explaining, as he had asked me to do, why I was making each of those repairs, he told me I didn't need to get hysterical and that there was no need to be emotional about this. He would reimburse me. He's sorry that he caused me any distress. I wasn't distressed. I wasn't emotional. I was just responding to him in the way that he asked for, which was a more detailed listing of the issues that we had been running into, which merited the repairs. So things like that are really subtle, but I don't think that my husband would have received the same response that he was getting emotional for responding to an email with specific requests in it. However, as a woman, this is something that I deal with from time to time, as well as other instances. The most common places are the older school industries where I will run into this kind of bias. So when we went to go buy a car last summer, of course, they only wanted to talk to my husband until I finally told them, listen, bud, I'm the one who's writing the check. And of course, we did not make a purchase from them. I walked into a Tesla store 3 days later and bought a car that I drove away in basically that day. So, their loss. And also I ended up spending more on a car that I really love, but that guy missed out. I don't know what else to say. So I think it's not fair that, women are treated the way that they are. And I'm sure that I even enjoy a very privileged existence as a woman. I'm treated differently than other women maybe. So I just want to acknowledge that, but also give a little bit of background. I mean, there's a lot of other examples I could put up here. I mean, the fact that we changed our branding at my former store that I sold to mostly gender neutral or even masculine type colors, and we still only had 4 to 6% of our sales coming from men, I think speaks volumes about how much harder it is to be a female entrepreneur, because you are mostly going to be selling to a female audience. And as we all know, there is a huge discrepancy in pay, especially in America, but in other countries as well, between men and women. And so, we're selling to an audience that already is at a disadvantage because they have less money to spend. And, here we are mostly trapped into selling only to that audience. So I really applaud anybody who does choose to become an entrepreneur who's a woman or identifies as a woman, because there are a unique set of challenges that we have to face. So first of all, I will say that it is a true flex and it does feel good. And it's not even a weird one at that, to be able to be the person who is paying these people for their services, and they realize that it's you and not your, male spouse or male partner who is going to be the one that they need to answer to. When there's money involved like that, they're pretty quick to come around to the fact that they should be a little nicer to you. So let's talk about some of the things you can do so that you can see this potential pitfall as an actual superpower in your journey through entrepreneurship. The first thing that is so important is to show up as a confident individual. And again, for me, this kind of looks like just asking, what would a man do in the situation? How would a man respond? But if you look at the way that men and women communicate, women tend to over explain, they tend to over communicate. And if you are in a situation where you're dealing with a lot of men, I find that pulling the communication back can be really helpful. In fact, my best friend Kathy Olson at Funnel Gorgeous really helped me a lot during the sale of my business, because there was just this thing that kept happening and I was really annoyed about it. And I wrote this whole long email explaining why it was annoying and explaining what was happening and why they should change it and what they should change it to. And it was like a simple fix, but I wrote a very long email all about this, and Kathy basically peeled it back and she reminded me that if you were a guy, because I was addressing all men, if you were a guy addressing this group, you would not have written this email this way. What would you have said differently? And she really helped me to peel back some of what I had said, took the emotion out of it. That one I actually was pretty emotional. And she helped me to rewrite that email in a way that I think was a better communication tool to use with that group of men. So it's just something to keep in mind, is that, we are going to communicate differently, but that doesn't mean that you can't show up confidently. It doesn't mean you have to be the meek woman in the room that's submissive and just kind of lets people walk all over her. In fact, you shouldn't be that way, because that, especially at the beginning of any kind of communication or relationship, not romantic, but business relationship, it's going to set the tone for the rest of your dealings together. So showing up very confidently, even if you have to fake it a little bit, just pulling your shoulders back, opening your chest, these physical things can literally change your voice on a call. And if you're not confident that you can be confident with video on, just remove it from the equation. Say, I'm sorry, my video's not working, or I prefer not to be on video today. It's totally acceptable. And that way you can be a little bit more clear, concise, and confident as you're communicating, particularly with other men when you're conducting some kind of business transaction where it's predominantly, you're facing men on the other side. It doesn't have to just be with men either. Just projecting confidence to the women in your life, the followers that you have, the random people who we have no idea which gender they are that are following you. Having that confidence in your life is something that you can actually learn. It's a skill, just like learning how to play the piano or anything else. So practice being more confident. One way I find that's really helpful, especially for my clients who are a little bit more introverted, even on the shy side of things, is to start asking for what they want. And this is a very uncomfortable exercise that actually leads to really good results. So I have them practice at restaurants. I'll say, for this week, I want you to ask for what you want. If they're going on a trip, if they're eating at a restaurant, if they're on an airline, I just want you to ask for what you want. If someone asks you to do something, you don't want to do that thing. Let's say someone asks you to switch your seat on an airplane. Practice saying no, because maybe you paid for that seat. Maybe it's exactly the seat you wanted. There's no reason why they should have your seat, even if they try to give you one. So practice saying no, practice having that confidence to ask for exactly what you want, or to assert yourself in those situations and put up boundaries where, you might have just given into your people pleaser side before and said yes, even though you'd be resentful and upset the entire rest of that flight for giving up your seat. You can still be kind, of course, but just because you choose yourself over someone else that you don't even know isn't being unkind. It's just having confidence in your decision and sitting with your decision so that you get to enjoy whatever you have chosen. Another good area to practice confidence in is with friends or family who are a little bit doubtful about your success or inevitable eventual success as an entrepreneur. So if you are really set on what you are doing, you can feel it in your heart, this is going to be successful. You don't know how or when, but you just know it's going to be a thing. And people keep making those snide comments oh, when you get a real job, or making some kind of derogatory comment about your business, that's an opportunity for you to confidently say, I see how you feel. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but I'm really excited about this. It kind of makes them a jerk if they keep being negative towards you and you're really excited about something. There is a special place for those people that can't be excited with you. It's very, very difficult for people to be negative and upset when they're watching someone who's so passionate and so excited about something. And this is a skill that I actually had to cultivate with my own family, who would ask me when I'm gonna get a real job. And now, that's the mug that I sell with my courses. You get it for free inside the D-Commerce Academy, because I want you to wake up every day and see that mug that says, this is my real job. So even if it feels frivolous to people that don't understand what we're doing or what we're building towards, this is our real job. And your family or your friends who don't necessarily give you the best vibes, those are perfect opportunities for you to flex this confidence muscle and to practice putting up boundaries with them so that they can feel how excited and passionate you are. And if they choose not to reflect that excited energy, well, it might be time for a deeper conversation about your relationship with that person if they truly can't be excited and happy for you. Another area I've unexpectedly had to finesse in entrepreneurship is respect, and namely earning respect. So I've noticed that when men get together, they typically just already have a level of respect for each other. Maybe there's a little bit of a pissing contest. You're doing that, I'm doing this. Let's see if we're mutually beneficial, or let's try to like one up each other to see who's like higher on the pecking order here. Typically, I just find that I'm all the way at the bottom when I enter these interactions with men, unless they're really, really highly attuned to other people and empathetic. So there are definitely a lot of people out there that are very high on the emotional intelligence scale and they do not treat people like this. But I would say that entrepreneurship attracts a certain breed of people that are opportunistic. And sometimes they're opportunistic in ways that doesn't necessarily convey respect for me as a woman. A good example of this is that a few months ago, I did a video here on this channel about how one brokerage that I went with compared to the brokerage that's also very popular that I did not go with. Well, the brokerage I didn't go with to sell my business contacted me, and I wasn't gonna waste my time. I was like, hey, if you wanna sponsor the YouTube channel, then we can get on a phone call and discuss. He's like, yes, I'm very interested in that. I definitely wanna talk about that with you. I think there's some things that you didn't really see about our brokerage, and I just wanna get on the phone and have like a conversation to help you see all the things that you may have missed out on in your research on the different brokerages. So I was very hesitant to get on this call, but because he said he was interested in possibly becoming a sponsor of this channel, I got on the phone call with him. He was immediately, it was clear that he was not interested in becoming a sponsor of this channel. So immediately I felt disrespected. And then without asking me any questions, he launched into a sales pitch on why his brokerage was the best, which promptly caused me to confirm that it was in fact not the best, especially when he told me that he could have gotten me more money in less time for selling my business. And I told him that I actually got 3 offers in 21 days, which is like unheard of. And one of them was all cash, no stipulations. He kind of conceded at that point that he doesn't know that they would have been able to get anything better than that, because the offer and ultimately, how I sold my business was like unprecedented. But I did have to put my foot down in this conversation several times when he kept trying to hammer home different statistics, and I would tell him that's not what I'm interested in. And I don't care how many users you have on your base. I care about what the quality of those users are. In fact, I didn't go with you because you have more people and there's more likely scammers and just a bunch of crap if you have a greater quantity that you're not vetting necessarily. So anyway, in this conversation, I felt very disrespected. I know that he was trying to accomplish something that was completely the opposite of it, but I do feel like my position as a woman, or maybe, someone who's a little bit newer, right? I'm not like in my 50s to the entrepreneur game. I don't know what it was, but he just did not treat me in a way that I felt was very respectful. And I had to really practice that with him by, kind of showing up and asking him the right questions. And it took him aback. Like he actually, I could see that he was like, oh, she knows what to ask. And that didn't feel good to feel like that energy shift where I could just confirm that what I thought, which was he didn't really respect me to begin with, and I had to earn that respect. So I will say that if you are a female entrepreneur, you might find yourself in similar situations, and my best advice to you is just don't take it personally. This is probably how they treat many people who identify as women, and you are no exception to this. They're gonna treat you the same way. It's really their loss. So going back to the car example, I think they're actually losing out on a lot of business and potential opportunities because, I would be here telling you amazing things about that company today if I had been treated much differently in that situation. So the third thing that is going to be really different from you versus your male colleagues are expectations that are placed upon you. We have an expectation of women that are very kind, very motherly, very caring. And yes, while these are all wonderful qualities that people can choose to embrace, I don't think you have to embrace those in order for people to like you. And in fact, some of you out there, including myself, might not care if everyone likes you. Expectations are an incredibly interesting thing. So for example, when all that stuff about private jets came out last year, nobody blinked an eye at any of the rappers or Kylie Jenner who were flying around on private jets to go on kind of frivolous flights, it seems like, to go from one part of LA to the other. But when Taylor Swift, who we had different expectations than Kylie, when Taylor Swift was the one whose private jet usage and energy consumption and gas and all that kind of stuff was in question, we all were super disappointed in T Swift, and we were really upset that this was coming to light. So why was it so different between Kylie and Taylor Swift? Well, we expect Kylie to kind of act like an ass and spend a bunch of money and be annoying like that. And we expect Taylor Swift to be the golden girl and to be a little bit more conscientious of her environment and her fans who love the environment. So we had different expectations in this situation for these different women. And what I will say is that as a woman yourself, it is going to fall upon you to set the expectation of what people can expect from you. Because if you don't do that, they either just won't care, give you the time of day, and I think that would happen regardless of gender. If you're not actually out there making a splash, sharing your products, talking about your business, then people are just going to forget about you. That doesn't have anything to do with your gender. But if you have a certain standard or a certain way that you treat your clients, it's important for you to set that expectation for future clients and future people that are going to work with you so that they don't just assume something. So I do think that we do bear a little bit of a heavier burden in setting that expectation and presenting that public image in a way that helps to convey what people can expect from us versus, dudes just show up and they have red branding and lime green text on the screen and they pull up in their Ferrari and everyone just kind of is like, oh, there they are making their money. We as women really have to show up strongly and show examples of what we do and how we expect our lifestyle to look and what we expect in a client relationship. We have to set those boundaries early and often. And I think we have to change the expectation for other women out there that it's not okay to talk about money. That's just a tool that people can use to keep you small, to keep you suppressed, is to say that, talking about money is bad or shaming you for any kind of money conversation, good, bad, or other that you do have. That's why I've started to talk a lot more about money on this channel, because it's not a dirty word and it's actually a really helpful thing to talk about, especially if you're struggling with it, because we all have been there. Everybody struggles with money at some point in their lives. Even if they have unlimited amounts of money, they might have different struggles than you or I do, but they definitely still will struggle with certain aspects around money, even if it's like their money mindset or what they do with their money, how they invest. So we all have struggles around money, and I want to normalize that conversation and make it expected that women talk about money, and we talk about it in terms of like, we are the breadwinners in our family and we're the ones who are making the decisions, so that our daughters and our future generations do not have to walk into a car dealer and know that they're going to be treated like dirt from the moment they step foot on the premise, or left off of all the real estate emails when they're the ones who initiated the transaction. No matter what, the fourth thing you must cultivate as a female entrepreneur is a dedication to your mission, and that involves defining exactly what your mission is. Please know that this can change and shift over time. Like, you don't have to keep going with the same mission you started with. When I first started, my mission was to help empower people to DIY what parts of their business they could, legally speaking. And now that's not all parts of their business. There's a lot that you need a lawyer for, but there are a lot of things you don't need a lawyer for. And in fact, one of the things that I was taught in law school is that lawyers should make things purposely hard for their clients so that people are always reliant on their lawyers or codependent with them. I didn't buy that, and I made it my mission to basically create the opposite of that. And I was incredibly successful in doing so because that was so unheard of. So if you are interested in creating a mission for yourself, even if it does change, like I no longer support people, I literally can't in a legal sense, I'm under a non-compete. So that has shifted and changed for me, where now I want to help you to build your passive income empires, whatever that looks like. I want to help you define it. I want to help you grow and scale it. I want to help you to just live in that lifestyle. So that's a very different mission. So just know that even if you are dedicated to your business and to the cause that you're serving right now, your purpose and your mission can continue to grow and shift and evolve over time, and it should. Okay, so fifth and finally, as women in entrepreneurship, it's so important that we continue to grow our influence. And I know we think of influence like, oh, influencers have influence, but you and I all have influence. The fact that you're watching this video shows that I've had some kind of influence in your life, and hopefully a positive one. And just like that, you are going to be out there talking and communicating with people that are interacting with your products and services and business. So what kind of influence do you want to have over those people? Because even if you aren't an influencer per se, who's doing sponsored posts and brand deals and what we typically think of as influence, we each have an influence over our clients and our customers' lives by showing them what they need to have inside of their lives, inside their businesses, to continue to improve and grow and scale. So my job is to influence you that you want and can grow a passive income lifestyle. Your job might be to help support new mothers, or to help support people that are dieting for the first time or for the first successful time. So whatever your mission is today, it's important to define that and define what kind of influence you want to have out there, what kind of impact you want to have out there in the world for that audience. If you've been watching for any amount of time, you know that I've had to deal with unsupportive people, including partners and ADHD and people that just doubted me, and lots of these rude interactions like I've brought up as examples today. I mean, there's been no shortage of people that are trying to bring me down and pull me back from succeeding in my business, and I've still been able to do so despite all that. I want to be here as an example to show you that one bad day or one bad vibe or one bad person isn't going to destroy you. In fact, it's just going to help you to understand what you do and don't want in your life and what kind of mission and purpose you're really on the path towards. So if that sounds good to you, if you know that you want to have more than just your day-to-day life as your legacy, you want to actually have a powerful purpose and impact in this world, then do make sure that you are watching the rest of the videos on this channel. They're not all this like powerful, I would say. They're more practical, but whenever you need a pep talk, you can always come back here and just remember, I've been there, I've walked alongside you, and you will one day be up here too, whether it's on stage or on a webinar or maybe behind the scenes, closing that big business deal. And you're gonna be there too, shining as an example of female entrepreneurship done well. And I am so glad that, we could share these few moments together. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in. And I really appreciate you watching, subscribing, commenting, anything that you want to do to support this channel. I know I say it all the time, but it really does make such a big difference. So thank you all so much, and I will see you very soon in the next video.